Which movie would have been way better if it had a sex scene? Thundergun Express 4, maximum cool. The man doesn't even hang down, and also I didn't get the plot. All we asked for was full penetration. Then back to crime solving. Then back to penetration. Crime. Penetration. Crime. Full penetration. And this goes on and back and forth for 90 or so minutes until the movie just sort of ends. Toy Story. SX toys were totally underutilized in that movie. I've got a friend in me. There's a snake in my boot. There's a snake in my booty. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? This was the exact movie I thought of before I clicked. After seeing it was the top post. I wasn't proud. I just wondered if I'm a pervert. You are. Welcome to Reddit. Castaway. Wilson. I'm sorry. OHH no. What are you doing, Step Wilson? That reminds me of South Park, when Mr. Garrison becomes a erotic novelist. I'm not gonna. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Zoot. In the castle. Maybe just a little peril? No. It's too perilous. Way OHH. Shit. The Mask. 1994. There's a scene where he pulls a used condom out of his pocket, so the mask canonically FK'd at least once. Doesn't necessarily have to be his condom. Could just be weird. He does also have a picture of Einhorn's wife. You married her. This threads made me realize Disney has a whole new market they could tap into. Disney X. They could keep the same intro for their streaming service and just have the plus fall on its side after it gets into its usual place. Somebody get this man a job in marketing. Spy Kids, and no, not because of the kids. Antonio Banderas and Carla Gugino probably have Essex. That would make gods jealous. God, what a double whammy of hotness. Antonio Banderas movies tend to be bisexual awakenings for many people. Take The Mask of Zorro for example. Also Shrek 2. That was a confusing day for Tenyomi. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Redditors that keep pointing out sex scenes that occurred in the movie. They were only implied or after the act. Good luck with your implied sex life. It's literally right there in the title. But surprisingly not in the movie. That probably says a lot about the way spies shag. You barely notice they're there and won't even remember tomorrow. Cars would answer some questions. Dude, she's only a 2017. You want to end up on the SI Fenders list? Brilliant. How do you think cars age? 18 years old is ancient for a vehicle. Maybe tailpiping a 2017 model is legal. Reminds me of a dude who was in a sexual relationship with his car. R/F cars taken literally. This is one of the weirdest threads I have seen. I invite you to join /r/to afraid tosk. R/na stupid questions is where it's at. I mean, this guy's not wrong. Why is it price gouging when people resell sanitizer for an extra 10%, but perfectly fine for pharmaceutical companies to mark life-saving medicine 1000%? A quiet place. I want to see them having sex while consciously avoiding clapping sounds. Jude Law and Rachel Weisz had a good one like that in Enemy at the Gates. Jurassic Park. Clever girl. The Incredibles. With her flexibility and his size, it would have to be incredible. She was the only woman that Mr. Incredible could have sex with without worrying about crushing her. She might not get crushed, but he's still gonna smash. I'll get there when I get there. Star Wars Episode V. It would make Episode 6 more interesting. Mayo, can you imagine Luke processing that shit? On a scale of Game of Thrones to Old Boy, how do you think he would respond to that news? Tatooine is a backwater planet. Ice Age. Skirrel finally gets his nut. Toy Story. And his mum deleted scene 4. You got a friend in me and his mum. Probably. SX toys are toys too. Now I wanna see Woody and the gang meet a group of dildos and vibrators. I feel like they could so pull that joke off if they were subtle enough about it. Have the toys meet a single toy, like a vibrator, that isn't penis shaped. Have a quick joke or two that adults get, but go way over the kids watching. Then be done with that character. It would probably spark some low-level conservative mum outrage and Tucker Carlson would call them pedis, but it would generate buzz and excitement for the movie. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2. There was a topless makeout session in PT1 at least, if I recall from interviews. Daniel was happy about the experience, but Emma definitely wasn't. Howard the Duck. Man, that scene really stuck with me when I was growing up. That whole scene, even as a kid, roughly 11 at the time, I was thinking WTH is this? Think it was the second time I saw a woman in panties. The first of course being Alien. Similar story. Inappropriate boner brothers. The fear makes it hot. Crossing over. A long sex scene of Alice Eve was cut out. Was your version more sexually explicit? Yeah. A big sex scene between Alice Eve and Jim Sturgis didn't make it into the movie. The sex scenes between Alice and Ray Liotta were way more explicit than you see in the final movie, including full frontal nudity from Alice. I was really upset that we lost a lot of the dialogue in the scene where they negotiate the terms of their deal. Once Alice's character realized the bind she was in, she tried to protect herself by telling him what sexual acts she would and wouldn't do. For example, she wouldn't put a bag overhead, she wouldn't do certain kinky acts, etc. They cut out all that interesting dialogue. Harvey was constantly trying to make her character more sympathetic, and I thought it was a mistake. And now I find myself suddenly unreasonably angry. 2009 Alice Eve 2. I'd say I'm reasonably livid. Shrek. Especially to answer the question on how Donkey and Dragon banged to have kids. I like to think Donkey just crawled his way inside her vagina to reach her womb and busted one. A long time ago I used to watch this show called The Dating Guy. It was not that great of a show, but one episode of the show I periodically remember. The premise is that one of the main characters got together with a mad scientist who shrunk him down to miniature size. She then stuck him in a condom. You can imagine the rest. Now, substituting that with Donkey and the Dragon. It's a terrible day to have a brain. She then stuck him in a condom. You can imagine the rest. She didn't get pregnant because he was in a condom. JK, please horrify me with what happened. B movie. Yeah, like jazz. King Khan. It also would have provided a satisfying conclusion in Godzilla vs Khan. How long do you think Khan could last vs Godzilla? In a fight, right? In a fight, right? Berserk's Golden Arc trilogy. In the second movie, add the actual sex scene in its entirety. As crazy as it sounds, that scene is one of the most genuinely important and thought-provoking moments in the entire series. In the movie, Guts and Casca just strip down and do it. In the original manga, they start, but Guts' trauma from being sexually assaulted as a child causes him to start choking Casca in a rage. He walks away ashamed, but finally admits to her what happened to him, and he even cries about how weak he was. She proceeds to hug him and thank him for telling her, before she shares her story about being sexually abused as well. Edit. As one commenter pointed out, I got that wrong. She had already shared her trauma a bit before that. It ends in Guts deciding he wants to try and push through the trauma, and it's genuinely one of the only sex scenes I can think of that literally does nothing but build on the story, and it's a genuinely beautiful part. As much as I like the movies personally, they were my introduction. In retrospect, the gutting of that scene is so awful, and it takes away so much from Guts and Casca's character. In the movie, it was just another one of those awkward and out of place sex scenes that felt more forced than authentic. All the more reason that Griffith is one of the most despicable villains ever. FK Griffith. When Griffith is F-king the princess consensually, though he definitely manipulated his way into her room and into her skirts, he does it hungrily, greedily, definitely takes the reins, and despite it being her first time, doesn't think about what she'd like to try or do, just as how he deals with achieving everything else in his life. However, he's thinking of Guts and how he left him behind. In fact, the whole act definitely stems from Guts leaving the Hawks. Griffith is the only guy who could FK a woman that furiously and still make it gay. Have you seen the Hannibal TV series by chance? There's a pretty gay sex scene that involves two overlapping heterosexual sexual liaisons. The Lion King. Nala was definitely giving Simba those eyes in the jungle. How are we going to convey that with cartoon lions? Just get me alone in a room with your weirdest animator and we will make it happen. Well, that's super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh really? Underworld Evolution. I had some Underworld sequel novelization that I bought at like Books A Million or the grocery store, and as a teenager, I wore out that thing reading a passage depicting a FMF vampire threesome. Back to the Future. Well, I did do the nasty and the pasty. Oh, a lesson in not changing history. From Mr. I'm my own grandpa. Apostrophe. How do you like these cookies? Sugar. Wally and Eve going hammer to Sprocket. Evara. Apple bong sound. Coyote Ugly. Roger Ebert had actually made this complaint in his review of this movie. He stated that PG-13 was a terrible place for the film, and if was to be so provocative it needed to bump up to a full R in order to be a good film. Sorts by controversial. This whole thread is controversial. Big Hero 6. We all wanted to see the aunt get her back blown out over that counter. I would like to add that in Wreck-It Ralph 2 there is a pop-up ad for single moms in your area and the picture is Aunt Cass. Wreck-It Ralph 3. Ralph wrecks it. The X-Files movie. New. The episode with Luke Wilson. That would be hilarious. Spider-Man. No Way Home. The sexual tension between Spider-Man and Spider-Man was off the charts. All three of them tingling their tingles. Take my money. Their hands are always sticky. Batman. All of them. Batman. How to Train Your Dragon. They don't call her Astrid for nothing. A League of Their Own. Legitimately. The Hunger Games. The books. Too. That entire series would have been better if intended for an adult audience and not I actually think it was really important to market to young people. BC, who else was talking to us about fascism and anti-fascism? Really? The way the government turns us against each other, so we all stay under their power. The horror of the disparity between the poor and the rich. Instead of the glamour, The Hunger Games was written for young adults without treating them like children. And most isn't like that. I didn't realize how important it was when I was 12. But now I see how powerful it was. Frozen. Makes a nice, smooth 7-inch DLDO made of ice. The cold never bothered me anyway. Though funny thing is she can make living beings out of ice and snow, so this reminds me of a certain Frozen PRN comic. Beauty and the Beast. Avatar. The Room. Oh wait, it did have a Ressex scene. In fact, it had two. The exact same scene. Twice. So anyway, how is your Essex life? Repetitive. Allegedly. Oh hi Mark. Starting to see a disturbing pattern in these answers. That's strong. Compassionate. Thick-thighed moms can get it? High five. Saw. Kinky. Emoji Movie. Does it really need one? No. Would it be mathematically speaking infinitely more enjoyable? Yup. The only way to enjoy that movie is to delete it. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The dwarves are basically the moods of Essex. Sorry, I'll let myself out. Snow White woke up. She was feeling happy. Happy got out of bed. She started feeling grumpy. Groundhog Day. I would love to bang Andy McDowell over and over again. I'm obligated to say Zootopia. Just watch Beastars. Mary Poppins. The Life of Pi. Man, I wanted Pi and his girl to FKKK, but no, he had to get on a boat SMH.